to BSI, the podcast with Benny Philhauer, Dowsy and Arco Para. Enjoy!
It's a hard one. This is a hard one. You guys are trying. It's tough. He goes, "Hey, Jovan, just remember how you were playing in the streets of Macedonia." And I'm looking at him. I'm from San Diego, dude. Like,
welcome to BSI, the podcast, and we're here with Sal. We don't have Ike today. He's not going to be able to come for the recording today, but we do have a special guest who will be one of our special PIs, especially for Jovan Kirovski coming on, and that's Sasha Kleshin. Thanks for joining us as a guest host, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited to do this. It's going to be fun to interview Jovan, a guy that I know pretty well, and fill in for Ike this week.
Yeah, so you'll have the plead the fifth questions. We'll see how many we can get him to plead.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I got some good questions.
All right, well, we'll get into with Jovan in a second. I just wanted to comment on some of the things that we've been doing. We have as some of you guys might have seen on Twitter, we did a little Zoom party bomb, whatever you want to call it, with some past guests, and some other people showed up, and it was pretty funny. We spent about an hour just shooting the shit with a lot of the past guests, and if you want to check that out, that'll be under our Patreon system on our website. And yeah, it's exciting just because we're starting to make some extra connections, not just with the podcast, but just having connections with guys that are really into the show. And I saw, Peter was one of our new patrons, and he was saying how he's finding it interesting to see the inside look perspective from a lot of players in MLS. And so that's what we're trying to do. And we're going to do some extra content. And like I said, check it out on BSI, the podcast, and our Patreon system. So,
yeah, the Zoom call was pretty cool. Bruce Arena, popped on, which was pretty funny and exciting.
He thought he was on the podcast.
Yeah, he thought he was on the podcast. So basically, I think now he'll be a future guest at some point.
Yeah,
so.
But yeah, go check it out. We'll put some teasers out on Twitter, and then if you want to see the whole thing, you can see it on our website. But anyways, without further ado, let's get Jovan Kirovski on the show. Welcome, Jovan. Welcome, Jovan Kirovski, technical director for the Los Angeles Galaxy. Welcome to the show, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
We had a coach on last week. Now we got our first technical director. We're expecting a lot of information from you today because you've played at some big clubs in Europe. You've had some success here in the US. You've played on the national team. So you're gonna have to give us a lot of shit on everybody.
I'll give you the PG version, as I said before.
We're going PG-13 minimum.
The next one might get a little bit more advanced. Let's just see how it starts.
All right. Well, as you can see there, we got Sasha Kleshin in here today instead of Ike. Ike couldn't be with us today for recording, so you might know Sasha a little bit. I know he's part of the Galaxy organization this year, so he's going to be giving you the plead the fifth questions at the end, if you don't mind.
He knows too much, so this is not fair. You guys brought in a secret weapon here.
Jovan, remember we work for the same team, okay? So we're in this together.
Yeah, be careful, dude. Be careful.
Sasha mentioned that he looked up to you as a national team player when he was growing up in Southern California, just so you know.
Yeah, I had a poster. Yeah, you had one of my posters on your wall, dude?
I was never planning on sharing that, Sal, so thank you very much. But Jovan, I got to say,
I thought that's how you got to the Galaxy.
As a youngster, Eastern European kid from Southern California, I liked watching you play, and I looked up to you as a kid.
I'm still going to give you shit, dude. That doesn't matter, dude.
I know.
All right, let's get going. You know the deal. First, quick hitters. We'll get into some easy warm-ups where you can bat them out of the park. Then we'll get into your career, and we'll finish off with Sasha interrogating you in Ike's interrogation. Are you ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right, first quick hitter. I know you have several vehicles in your garage, and I'd like you to rank them in order of preference to worst. So,
oh my God.
Harley Davidson, Porsche Macan, your Mercedes sports car, and your Prius.
Prius? Sasha's the Prius, dude. Who gave you this? Hey, Sasha's been giving you too much information, dude. Come on.
These guys have little birdies, little PIs all over the league, dude.
Dude, we got tons of people. We didn't even ask Sasha for anything. We actually gave him the questions to ask today.
The Porsche is the most fun to drive. The Harley is as a weekend getaway, which is great too. The other one is just the old man's car that Sasha says. He says something else about it, but I'll let him do it.
So no Prius?
No, I don't have a Prius. Sasha has like 4 of them.
I'm saving the environment one car at a time.
All right, next question. So you were part of Man United. You went there at 92, and you knew all the members of the class of 92. So rank the members in order 1 through 6. There, just so you, in case you forgot who they were: David Beckham, Nicky Butt, Ryan Giggs, Gary and Phil Neville, and Paul Scholes.
Okay, when you say ranking in terms of what?
Players? In terms of, let's say this: you're a technical director. You're picking them in their prime to put on your team. What's the order 1 through 6?
Oh, I could get crushed here. Beckham, if he ever listened to this podcast, he might crush me.
He's one of our prime time viewers.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's listening. Giggs is number 1. Giggs will be number 1.
Okay.
Scholes number 2. Then it gets tricky. I would say Beckham, Phil Neville, Gary Neville, and who was the last one?
Nicky Butt.
Oof. Nicky Butt would be ahead of Phil Neville. So it would be
Nicky Butt, then Phil and Gary?
Then Phil and then Gary, yeah. I mean, that was a top group, man. They were.
Yeah, I mean, there's no losers in that except Gary Neville, who's in last.
Yeah. But he's doing well on TV now, man. He's doing a good job. No, he had a tremendous career too. I mean, they all did, really.
Right.
Benny told me when doing research for that question that he had heard that you were the long lost brother from that group. Like it used to be 7, but now they narrowed it down to 6.
I didn't make the cut, dude. I had to go. The work permit situation didn't give me a chance, dude.
So were you the same age as all of them? You played on the same youth team?
So I was a little bit younger. I was a year younger. And I came in, there was 2 groups, an A and a B team, and then you had a reserve team, and then you had the first team. So when I came into the group, the A and the B team kind of trained together most of the time. So I was part of the group growing up the whole time.
I see. That's cool.
That's incredible, dude. How many good players came from that, not only that class, but just Man U in general at that age group?
No, it was a special group, you know, getting an opportunity to go there, first of all, was great for my development as not only my career in soccer, but the way Alex Ferguson set the club up. And everybody talks about culture now, you know, culture here and the identity, but this guy built a culture there it built character. If you didn't make it, not everybody would make it. That was unusual for so many kids to make it, you know, that generation. But the character building that went on day to day. I mean, Ferguson walked into a room, and I'm 16 years old, and we're in the reception, and it's a small training ground. It's not what these training grounds are today. It was the old Cliff, and he'd walk into a room, and everybody would shit their pants. I mean, we'd sit there, we wouldn't want to make eye contact, our heads are down. And if you had a stubble, if you weren't clean shaven, I mean, he would rip you apart. I mean, those are some of the things that I'll never forget, you know. And I've learned over time. It helps me in my career today. Some of those things that he's instilled.
And that was in 92 or 96, but that was a long time ago. And even after that is when he like really made a name for himself. I mean, he was obviously a good coach back then, but look at everything he's done since. And he already had that kind of, aura about him, I guess.
Yeah. He knew everybody at the club. Imagine, I'm a 16-year-old kid from San Diego. Like, he knew everybody's name. He knew every kid. He would watch games on the weekend. I mean, I would walk home. I would train in the morning, and I'd walk home and try to get a bus to go to school, because I was one of the ones I had to go to school in the afternoon because I had a visa. You know, that's how I was there.
Yeah.
And along comes this big black Mercedes. He pulls up, and I'm looking at him. I'm shitting my pants. He opens the window, and he's like, "Oh, you need a lift." In his accent, I'm like, "Fuck, I don't want to go. I want to walk to the bus stop." No, but he cared. You know, he really cared. So it was a great environment for me to grow up in.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, moving on. We're moving a little bit forward here in your career. As a technical director now, your biggest successful signing that you've been a part of in your mind?
I mean, when a player gets signed for a club, it's not. I mean, it's obviously a team and a group of people, so it's not just me signing them or a group. I would say the biggest one is Ibra. I think if you look at the impact Ibra made in the moment he came in, and what he brought and the value we got, it was a perfect timing for us to get a guy at that kind of price. He made a massive impact.
Yeah, I unfortunately know the butt end of that.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you though, really.
The first goal.
Hey, what he did, that was one of the best moments. Like he changed the momentum, Benny did. I'll never forget. It was one of the best. Hey, that was one of the highlights of my career, that game. Because
I did what I could to help you guys get in the playoffs. You guys still couldn't do it.
Yeah. The build up to the thing is, the build up to this game was when we were getting Ibra. Part of it was LAFC's coming in, a new team coming into LA. You have to come for this game. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge moment. And I was selling to this guy, this is going to be the biggest game in MLS history. You know, you have to be at this game. You need to come to this game. And we fought hard with all the paperwork, the immigration, and all this shit to get him in. And we finally got him there, right? We got him there 2 days before, and we're thinking, okay, great. And then at halftime, it's 3-0, and I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah, it was 2-0 at halftime, but 3-0 like 5 minutes later.
Okay, 2-0 halftime. 2-0 halftime. I remember we're in the box, and everybody's in there. It's packed. And Gordon, Sasha's brother, and I, we get out of the suite, and we find another room because it was like bad karma, bad luck going on. And we go into an empty suite we find, and it was Ziggy's son was actually there too. Ziggy's son, Kurt. And we found a room, and you just started the momentum. And like right when you gave the ball away, and it was Sebastian who scored, right?
Yeah.
Oh, everything changed. It was amazing. Like we were throwing chairs, running around. It was one of the best sporting events I've been a part of.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, dude.
And it all started with you, Benny.
I'm glad I could make somebody's day worthwhile, because mine went downhill fast after that play.
You remember it completely different.
It was a great moment, and it was, and it started a great rivalry. You know,
that's true.
Hey, put it on. You started a great rivalry there.
Yeah. No, I don't need that on me, but I appreciate it. All right, last question of the quick hitters before we get into the interview portion. Your most memorable championship. So you've won a few championships. I'll list them here, and maybe I even missed some. Winning Champions League with Dortmund in '97. MLS Cup, Open Cup double in 2005 with Galaxy, MLS Cup in 2011 with the Galaxy as your last year, right, as a player,
yeah.
And then MLS Cup 2012 as an assistant coach, and then MLS Cup 2014 with the Galaxy as a technical director.
The Champions League thing was, I was young. I was part of a group that experienced players. I played sparingly. I was in and out. It was great to be part of that. It was something that, I mean, not many people get a chance to see that kind of team and be part of that. So that was special. But I would say the last year, we had a great group of guys in 2011. The last year I played, Beckham, I don't know if he retired the year after, I think. We had a great group, Robbie Keane, and Bruce did an amazing job putting that together. And when Bruce came in 2008, I came, I think in 2009, like the start of Bruce's era, you know? And so it was special to be part of that building process. And I think that was the best. My last game, and I was part of that. It was fantastic that season.
Yeah. It's always nice to go out on top. Unlike what happened to me last year, was not fun.
I went out on top. Didn't play much, but actually, and then I decided to come back.
Sal's Atlanta championship mirrored your Champions League one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bruce was actually on the Zoom call this weekend that Benny set up, and he spoke very highly of you in those last years, Jovan, of you being a player and a teammate.
We were trying to get trash on you, and he wouldn't give us any.
Yeah.
Well, there is though, because Bruce has known me a long time, so we can get in. Do you want to get into that now, or do you want to get into that later?
We can get into it whenever you want.
No, but Bruce was when I started in the national team with Bora long time ago when I was 18 years old. And then came Samson. I had some bad moments with him, and we'll get into that later too, probably.
Yeah, I got some questions lined up.
Bruce got me in the mix in the national team, and he was starting something there. I remember playing against Germany. It was one of the early games, and we had a great group. I scored. We won 3-0 against Germany. Reina was playing in Germany at the time. I was playing in Germany. Tony Santa, and Bruce helped me along through those moments and through those times. Like, I had a great opportunity. I played under Bruce, and I was sometimes I could be bad. When I wasn't in the team or when I wasn't starting, I would go to Bruce and say, why am I not starting? Like, that was how I grew up.
Right.
In England, when I was a kid, we were told, like, if you're not playing, I'd go ask the coach, and I thought that was normal. And I would always be that guy, like I would ask him, and I wasn't being terrible about it, but I always asked. And I had my moments, and Bruce, we've had talks when, like in 2002, I played all the qualifiers for the World Cup qualifying, and I didn't get in the team. And later down the road, and I always was bitter about it, but the team did well. There's nothing, it happens in our game. But I always talked to Bruce, and I would mention it to him, like, the reasons that I didn't come in that squad was, this is a group that it's a short tournament. You need good people around, no disruption. And I could have been a disruption. And we'll talk about some of the things I did to probably warrant the case,
Right. Yeah. No, I understand. But first, I wanted to ask you, so you mentioned it a little bit. I was actually going to ask you during the quick hitters. So we're done with the quick hitters, but my first question to you was, I heard a story when you first were going to go to England to play with Man U on the youth team, that Sir Alex actually paid you a visit in San Diego. Is that true?
This is what is so special about this guy. He was at my house. I wasn't there. My parents, he had a barbecue in Escondido. Sal knows this place. It's North San Diego. And he wanted to make sure my parents knew that I was getting taken care of. I was with a youth national team somewhere, but this is how special this guy was. A 16-year-old kid, who knows what's going to happen, but he wanted to assure my parents that your son's going to get taken care of. He's leaving home at 16, foreign country, but we're going to look after him. We're going to take care of him. And it gives them confidence, to let a kid go at 16 years old to another country. It shows how special this guy was,
Yeah. That's impressive. Obviously a guy coming all the way from England, and like we talked about the things that he had done, and then come to talk to your parents to make them feel good about you moving over there.
Yeah. And it's some of the things, it was, you'd stand in line as a 16, everybody ate together. Okay. The first team, second team, everybody, it was small. The training facilities weren't as big as they are now. And you'd be in line, little things, you'd be in line and you'd ask for food, can I have whatever, chicken today? And one time I didn't say please. Oh my God. He's sitting next to me fucking looking at me. You fucking say please. Oh, shit pants. Shit my pants. But those are the little things that matter, that create that culture. And it was important. And whether you don't make it, he was building character.
Yeah.
Jovan, when you were a youngster growing up in San Diego, did you know how big of a club Manchester United was? Like, were you a kid who was like obsessed with soccer and watched European soccer? Or when they came and recruited you, were you like, no, I want to go to college? What was that growing up like?
How did they see you too? Like, what was the process of them scouting you?
I went to England with the under 17 national team program. We had a tour. We played Coventry, Liverpool. We played Manchester United, and I played a few games. We 7 games, I think, and a scout invited me over there. He invited me. This was spring, so he invited me in the summer. And to answer, Sasha, your question first is, I followed European soccer, but I followed Italy. Like, Italy was, I would get up at 5 a.m. to watch Rai Uno, because we had to have a satellite to watch European games. Manchester United wasn't quite, like, I wasn't super into the English game. Like, I knew Manchester United, but I didn't know how big it was until I arrived there and realized how big a club it was. But anyway, I went in that summer. I went for a 2-week stint. I went for 2 weeks. It was preseason. They just ran us every day. We had some soccer involved too, but that was the group with Beckham, Scholes, Neville brothers, the A and B team together, and we trained. And there was a tournament called the Milk Cup. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Milk Cup.
We all, I think, all played in that.
No, I didn't play, but
you never played in it? Okay, no. I played in it. I won it, actually.
I played in it too.
Who did you play with, Sal?
I was with the U18s. So It was the year Charlie Davies, I think he had 2 goals. That's what actually Hammerby, that's how he signed there.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a big youth tournament in the UK. All the big clubs are there. And their roster was full. So they wanted to take me with them, but their roster was full. So the scout that brought me there, he called Rangers and said, hey, this kid, he's pretty good. You guys want to have a look at him? And they said, okay, no problem. So I went with Glasgow Rangers. I went up there to Glasgow, trained a few days. We went to the tournament. We ended up winning the tournament. I performed well. I scored like 7 goals in 7 games. We had a good team. There's a guy called Charlie Miller. I don't know if you guys will remember. Charlie Miller played for Rangers a long time, a good player, but ended up having multiple offers now, different clubs, different places. But the number one was always going to be Manchester United. So from then, they invited me back 2 months later, and then I made the move. I always wanted to go play in Europe. I was always thinking about going to former Yugoslavia. There was a couple clubs, but with the war, there was no way my mom and dad are going to let me go. So it was a good moment and opportunity for me to go try to develop and be a pro.
Nice. Awesome. Sal, do you want to talk about Dortmund a little bit?
Yeah. So then you transitioned to Dortmund. Like how did that process? You couldn't get a work permit, I read. Then you transitioned to Dortmund. How did that kind of happen?
Well, I was in Manchester United for 4 years. So I was there. After 2 years, they wanted to sign me. And I'm sure if you guys know England, you need a work permit. The process was hard. It wasn't easy, especially for a young player, because you have to pass all the criteria. You'd have to make as much money as Eric Cantona did. You have to be on a certain scale. Like as a 17-year-old kid, it wasn't happening. They tried multiple times, though. Ferguson tried 2 or 3 times to sign me, and it wasn't possible. So after the Olympics, and Bruce was the coach in the Olympics in '96, I had to make a move because Manchester United wasn't happening. So Alex Ferguson and Manchester United, they wanted to send me somewhere for a couple of years and then try to bring me back. So that was the idea. That was the plan. So Dortmund was one of the clubs. Ajax was another one. And I went to Dortmund first. And they wanted to see me. And I was fresh off the Olympics. I was fit. I was feeling good. No problem. Let's go. No problem. I'm free, a free player. And I go train Otmar Hitzfeld. You guys have heard of him. Otmar Hitzfeld, he was the coach of Dortmund.
Yeah.
Dortmund at the time was big. They just won the league. And I go for a training session. The first session, I go in and I played really well. I was like on fire. When you feel really good, you first get there, you're excited.
Yeah.
Otmar Hitzfeld, after the session, they right away called in me and the agent that I was working with at the time. And they brought us into a room and they didn't want us to go anywhere. Right away, they came in, and Steve Kelly, I don't know if you guys know him.
No.
You guys have heard of him. He was the one representing me at the time, and he was the scout at Manchester United before. And they brought us into a boardroom, and he asked me, he goes, Jovan, do you want to come in? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. We were like joking around. Steve Kelly's never done a deal in his life. I was his first client. Like he had no clue either, And so we go into this boardroom, and now Michael Meyer, who's the general manager, a couple other board members there, and it was serious. They're all in suits, and I'm walking in there. Holy shit! What am I doing here? I shouldn't have even been in there. And they're throwing numbers on the table, and I'm a free player, and the numbers were pretty crazy. And I'm sitting there looking at this guy, and we're almost laughing. Like I swear to God, we're like, is this serious? And the guy, Steve Kelly, goes, listen, we need a few minutes to talk. We go outside, and we're laughing. I'm a 20-year-old kid. I'm thinking, holy shit. Like, are these guys serious?
Little do you know, you probably could have got double that, but you took it.
Exactly. Looking at it now and the job I'm in, I'm thinking if I had the right representative, I would have destroyed it like, even more. Like, I'm like, fuck me. And then it was, Ajax was eliminated because it was so much money. Like, we're not going anywhere. They didn't want me to leave. There was no way, because they knew I was going to go there next.
Yeah.
They knew. And so it was done. I mean, Dortmund, I didn't know they weren't as popular as they are now. It wasn't, I know they won the Bundesliga, but again, I was following Italian soccer more than the Bundesliga. But when you're there, you realize how big of a club it is. And
right.
It was an opportunity I couldn't refuse. I mean, it's you leave home at 16, you give up college, you give up everything, And during the whole time, there was moments, you know, you guys have played, there's ups and downs. At 17, 18, there was moments when I thought, you know what, I want to go home. But I stuck through it, and I was afraid. My whole family is here. I left home. I was afraid to fail. You know, there was no way I was going home. And when this opportunity came, I was like, okay, I can pay for college. I can do it. Now I'm okay.
It was even harder then. I mean, where internet was and, you know, life, I mean, you couldn't just, you know, video chat your parents or whatever. I mean, you're probably doing dial up, trying to, you know, even do long distance calling or something. Like it was much harder back then. I mean, I know Benny and me and Sasha, we all went overseas, and it wasn't, you know, easy for us necessarily, but had to have been, you know, 10 times harder for someone like you at that time.
Yeah, especially an American kid coming from San Diego.
Yeah. And you were younger than all of us too.
Yeah.
16 years old. Imagine, I'm from San Diego.
That's not even college of it. Yeah. No, I mean, I went to Germany when I was 20, and I felt like homesick. I mean, I played with, and I had another San Diego guy there, Steve Cherundolo, who helped me out. But yeah, 16, at least the only thing you had going for you is you spoke the language. I guess that's the bonus.
But it was sunny San Diego. The weather's great, right? And I'm going to Manchester. The weather is great every day. And I live across the street from a cemetery. My mom came to visit. Listen, my mom came to visit after 2 months, right? After 3 months, they came. My mom and dad would come every 3 months, like once in the first half of the season, and then again in the second half. When my mom saw where I lived, fucking tears were down her. She was like, "Oh my God. Like, are you serious?" But she knew I had a passion. I loved it like I did. I was part of. I loved it. At first, it took a couple months to get into it. I mean, being 16, the first 3 days, 4 days, you know, when you have jet lag and you're 16, 17, and you're up in the middle of the night, that's when it hit me, because I'm like, oh my God, I have to, I'm a fucking man now. I'm not going home. When am I going to go home? I'm done.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not a kid anymore. And like those three, like that's when I would cry. Like I cry. That's when the hard part, I cried a little bit and then got it out of my system in 3 days and it was gone. I loved it. It was fantastic. But that first week was like, holy shit, I just left home. I can't go back because I have to show that I have to make it, man. I have to make it.
Yeah, until you know the guys and you adjust to like kind of that routine every day. That first week is so nerve-wracking when you first get there, for sure.
And these are kids when they're fighting for jobs, man. Yeah. Like at 16, 17, 18, these kids every day are fighting for survival. And they grew up rough, you know, in Manchester, they know. And there was a couple foreigners, but I mean, one story that I'll say now before I forget. So I was probably a year and a half in, maybe 17 at the time. Nicky Butt he was running the show there. Like he's a tough kid from Manchester. And you guys remember Keith Gillespie, a winger? He was at Newcastle, played for Northern Ireland.
Yeah, I know who he is.
So he was always this jokester. And he would, after training, he was just throwing socks at Nicky Butt. Like he threw a sock at him. And Nicky Butt's like, "Stop, man. That's enough." He did it again. And we're in this small locker room. We just have a peg. We hang our clothes every day. And he said it one more time. He said, "Listen, stop, or I'm gonna have you stop." And I think I'm from San Diego. I was playing at the Nomads a year ago, you know?
Surf Cup.
And yeah, exactly. And this guy, all you hear is just a bang, just clocked him. And I'm like, holy shit, this is where I'm at now, you know? I mean, it was crazy. And nobody gets punished. They had a few words and it was over. Yeah. Poor guy had a busted nose, though.
I have a question for you that kind of popped up in my head right now. I know that you went there, you know, really early, but a few years later into your career there, MLS, you know, started. And I'm wondering, did you ever have an opportunity to come back? And was that something that you thought, you know, you would want to do because, you know, back at home and you can make money back at home now as opposed to be in Europe? Like was that ever a situation that presented itself to?
It was presented when I was at Dortmund. The first couple years I was involved. I wasn't playing, so then I went on loan to Cologne. The third year I was playing in Cologne. The fourth year I wasn't in the mix at Dortmund at all. So that opportunity came. It was Ivan Gazidis at the time was in the front office at MLS, and they came to me with a good offer. But in my mind, I left home at 16, not just to make it. I wanted to be the best player in the world. That was my mentality. I was with the best kids in England, and I was doing well. And I thought, I'm not coming back. I want to be the best. Like, that was my mentality, even though maybe it wasn't possible, but there was no way. But I also had very big offers elsewhere. So they gave me a good offer. I remember it was good money, but it wasn't even about the money. I mean, I made 3 times more when I went to Sporting Lisbon. I mean, I made the most money in my career.
We talked about it a little bit, like with Chicharito's comments about coming, back home, and and it kind of reminds me of that. Like, you feel like you're almost like giving up on being that best player in the world, kind of drive that you had going for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and at that time, the MLS, it started in '96, so it was relatively early, and the league, it's grown so much. I mean, you guys see today the league is much different than it was 5 years ago and 5 years before.
For sure.
The game, I mean, if you watch the games that are coming on now that are streamed 10 years ago, there's so much space, there's so much time. It was different.
Yeah. Of course. No, I think the interesting thing is that there's different people, right, that want different things. And so I think the thing that you could have got back in MLS, maybe you're not making the exact same money that you would have made in Europe, but you could be like one of the big time guys in the league at that time, coming back, one of the American guys that could be, the head or the face, of the league at that time. And so, that never was something that made you want to come back at all.
It did a little bit, like being home, being in LA, and being, like you said, okay, the face of the league and coming in. I was young. I was in the national team. I was rated pretty high within the US. So it crossed my mind a little bit, but I was so motivated. I thought, no way, man. Right. I want to be the best. I wanted to give it a real shot, and I had other offers on the table that were way better, financially way better. So I always thought, if I go to wherever it was, Sporting Lisbon or a different club, I can always come back here. I can always come to MLS. At those times, to come to MLS and go back was not happening.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I want to move on to your career with the national team. As I did some research on you, our national team careers are actually very similar. So both of us played in the Olympics. Gold Cups, Confederations Cups, more than 50 caps for the national team, played a lot of games in World Cup qualifying. However, both of us had opportunities or were in the group to go to 2 World Cups, and we never went to a World Cup. So obviously it's a great heartbreak for me in my career, and I'm just wondering for you to look back on your career with the national team and what it meant to miss out on those World Cups.
Yeah, it was when thinking back, it was hard because I was part of a couple groups there that I thought, I would definitely be in the squad. But again, when I made mistakes, in 90, and this is Steve Sampson was the coach of the national team. And I was part of the group always as a young kid, I was always part of the group. Sampson came, I think, in 95. And there was a moment where I was at Dortmund. I played 6 or 7 games in a row, Champions League, Bundesliga, and there was a qualifier. So he brings me into a qualifier in Portland. And during the week where, if you're playing, I was in the starting 11. Like I was like I was playing, I was in the plans to play.
Right.
So it comes till Thursday, it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was in the mix. So I thought, what, I'm starting, I was in the plans to start. On the Friday morning, I was not even, okay, I wasn't starting. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I'm a young kid. If I don't start, it's okay, whatever. I'm on the bench, no problem. I find out that I'm not even going to be in the 18. So imagine, I come from Germany. I'm playing at the time, all the time, 6 games in a row. I'm flying. I'm feeling good. And I was young. I was confident. I was like, really? I'm not going to even be in the squad. So I thought, there's no way. I was so pissed off. I was young, hot-headed. And I don't condone this. Like I would never, this is something I did wrong. This is why one of the reasons I missed out. I go up to Steve Sampson and Clive Charles. I don't know if you guys would know Clive.
From Portland, right? He was the legend at Portland.
Yeah, great guy. And he would he came to me and he's like, listen, don't worry, take it easy. He tried to cool me down. I went to see Steve. I told him what I thought, and I just slammed the door. I left. Pam Perkins, who was the administrator at the time, I bought my own flight. I left. I went back. Imagine, before a qualifier, it was an important qualifier.
Right.
I just totally screwed it off and went, which was wrong. I mean, it was something that a young guy like I shouldn't be doing that, but it cost me. It cost me 98. Most likely I would have been part of it for sure.
Yeah.
I would have been part of it.
What year was that happened?
That was in 97, probably.
Okay. Yeah. So really close to the World Cup.
Yeah. I would have been in the mix for sure. I was a young player. I was coming through. Like, I would have been part of it. Whether I'm a starter or not, that wasn't the case. I would have been part of it. So that kind of killed me. So I kind of killed myself. And that moved on to when Bruce came in. Again, I wasn't terrible, but I questioned a lot of things when I didn't play, when I wasn't involved. And it wasn't in a bad way, but I can see as a coach now, if I'm Bruce, if I'm a coach and looking back now, you're playing a tournament, you don't want disruptions. You don't want somebody mixing it up in the tournament process, So I get it. I understand. And this group in 2002, I mean, there were some good players, and look what they did. Landon and Beasley came in the mix late. Like, there was a good group there. But I understand completely. You don't want somebody like that making in a short tournament causing problems. So I get it. But Sasha, it's disappointing, because to be part of a World Cup, to see what it's like, to be part of it would have been great. And I look back and I made mistakes.
Leading up to 2002, were you like a part of that group? Did you guys do like a training camp before they went to Japan and South Korea? Or like, when did Bruce let you know that you weren't going?
No, I didn't go into a camp. It was just an email. I got an email, and I was an alternate, and that was hard. That was hard, because I thought somebody would, like Bruce would call me maybe, but it was hard. That was a little bit difficult to take, but I understood. It was, at the time, it was hard, but I got it later. Yeah. Put it that way. I got it later. I was bitter for a little bit, but I got it later. I understood.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to move forward now to when you did eventually come back to MLS. And this is a story that I've kind of heard through the grapevine. Actually, I think I talked to you about it for a little bit, but your first season with the Galaxy was in 2003, correct?
Yes, or 2004. 2004, I came back from Birmingham City. 2004, January or February 2004.
And Ziggy was the coach for the Galaxy?
Yeah, so Ziggy brought me back. Ziggy's known me since I was probably a young kid, because I was training with the national team. He was part of the national team program with Bora in the early days. So he's known of me for a long time. So
so he brought you in. You're obviously one of the, more bigger time players on the team at the time. And you guys are in first place in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
What I want to know is about the game against Columbus.
Okay. So we're flying. We had a good start to the season.
Right.
The year before was the year where the Galaxy was in the playoffs. They got knocked out. It was the game they were up 4-0, I guess, the San Jose, and they
San
lost.
Jose game.
Yeah.
So I think Ziggy was under pressure because of this. Okay. And we started well. I came into the mix. Andy Herzog came in. Fish Pescadito was there. We had a good team. It was a good group of players, and we started really well. And it was Columbus, and Ziggy takes me out. Like, it's 66 minute. I see my number, and I'm thinking, what? And I'm like, I came back from England. I scored a few goals early, and I'm thinking, what? And I'm like, there's no way. And I was so pissed. I ran, forget the halfway line. I just went out. I didn't go shake anybody's hand. And this, again, I don't condone this for anything. And this helped me in my job today, because
these are some of the mistakes you've learned from.
Exactly. And I'm going out of Home Depot Center at the time. I'm sprinting to the fucking tunnel. And I go out, and I'm wearing studs. Okay. The old kind of studs. And I go in the tunnel, and my first impact on that concrete, I slip and fall down. I fall down. And then I'm looking around. I make my way up. I get out of there. I'm up in the club section. Up there's a restaurant, in Home Depot.
Stadium Club.
The Stadium Club. Yeah. And I watched the game there and took off. And I was so pissed. I was out of there, and it was terrible. It was terrible.
What was the score of that game?
I think we
You guys must have lost, right?
I think we drew. We drew. So we're still first place. Everything's okay. It happened.
Yeah,
I made a mistake, and Ziggy talked to me the next day. He called me and talked to me. We were off. The day after we come in, the group comes in, and we have a meeting, and we're meeting in the lounge, and Ziggy starts talking to the group, and this came out of nowhere. We're in first place. Remember, first place. And all of a sudden Ziggy starts tearing up, and he's been let go. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like devastated because I thought I just did this and he's no way. And I started tearing up too. And I was like, I'm sorry, but obviously it wasn't because of me. He got sacked. It wasn't just, there was more to it than that, but
but when you piss off the big time player on the team, the coach takes the brunt end,
What percentage of the reason for sacking was you slipping on the tunnel and everybody seeing it?
Maybe, dude. It was terrible. It felt terrible though. And there was more to it, but it was awful. We were first place. We had a good group. The year after the team won, it was a good group.
And in 2004, once Ziggy got fired though, you guys struggled, right? Did you not struggle after that a little bit?
It was a little. We made the playoffs. I think Kansas City beat us in maybe the second round. We made it to playoffs. We didn't win, which is something when you're at the Galaxy you need to win. So there was a lot of pressure on. But the year before, and that game, the San Jose game, I think took it played a big part in Ziggy, letting Ziggy go, I think.
Right. All right. Well, let's get into technical director. Sal, you jumping in on this one?
Yeah, no. Well, so you come off winning the MLS Cup, you become an assistant coach and you win. Then you become a technical director and you guys won in 2014, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously the Ibra signing was pretty big deal for the MLS, for the club. Can you kind of just walk us through that whole process, like the whole process? I want to know, when did you guys first start talking to him? How interested was he at the beginning?
And like, what did you specifically have to do? I'm sure like some of your connections that you've had in Europe over the years must have helped.
So this was going on. I think it was maybe 2000. We started the process early. It was a time where we knew Robbie Keane was getting older. There was a few players that was getting up there, and he was a player that was a significant player that would make a huge impact in MLS. We met him. I met him through a player I played with that was a close friend of his. There's a player called Daniel Majstorovic. He played with me in Germany. He plays for the Swedish national team and played with Ibra. So that's how I connected with him. And Ibra, coming from his parents are Balkan, we speak the language. So that played a part too. But that connection kind of started the process. Every time I went to Paris, I would meet him. I would talk to him just to sell him the league, tell him what it's about. Like, he was always interested, and it took time. It took a year, that first year, just to introduce it. He came to LA. He came to LA for vacation.
Yeah.
And we showed him around. We showed him around the club, and nobody even knew.
And this was what year?
This was 2015, probably.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because before he went to Manchester United, we were trying to get him, and he was showing interest.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the right moment. It wasn't the right time. Like, he couldn't do it financially. Like, I think at that time, Manchester United, we didn't go in hard enough, and we weren't, at that time, the DP situation, we were full, and we couldn't move that summer. So
that's not a big problem for the Galaxy, though. Let's be honest. You guys always make up a new rule to get a new DP. So,
so at that time it was hard. So he goes to Manchester United, and when he went there, we knew he was interested in coming to us. We knew he had a year there maybe, and we were going to get him. So we were in contact all the time. I would go over there all the time. Chris Klein went with me one time. We had dinner with him. We talked to him, and the injury happened. When we were going to pull the trigger and it was happening, we had a deal negotiated. It was pretty much set. He hurt his knee, which changed everything. It changed a lot. And in that time, it was we could have walked away, which we walked away from it then, but I kept on it because you never know what's going to happen. You never know. I kept in touch with him. I kept in contact. I built a relationship with him. And eventually when it was going to come down to the year after that, it was easier for him to make the decision because he knew where he was in his career. He knew how the Premiership, it was going to be hard. He didn't know what his knee was going to do. He didn't know like how he was going to come out of it. Yeah. So the timing was perfect, and then we just made it happen.
How'd you get him for $1.5 million though?
Well, the injury kind of played a big part in that because the deal before was going to be much different.
Right.
And he made a lot of money, but he's a man based on principle. The $1.5 million, he didn't have a choice because we couldn't negotiate anything more. We had 3 years. So that's all we had.
I thought maybe you would have bought a house for him on Manhattan Beach or something.
Imagine the agent, Mino Raiola, the agent, he was like, what about an agent fee or this or that?
He's like, is this per month or?
I know, this is nothing. And that was the scary part for me. Imagine I get on the phone with this guy, and this he's about 5'5", dude. He's and his reputation, and I'm shitting my pants. I'm thinking, how am I going to tell this guy this is what it is? I'm embarrassed because how am I going to tell him $1.5 million? Because he's going to say for 1 month. And I'm trying to explain the league to this guy, and he's thinking, are you serious? But my relationship with Ibra, Ibra went to Mino and said, listen, I want to do this. I'm doing it. And he would tell me, Ibra would say, no, I want to do this, and it was him in the end that wanted to come. He knew the timing was right, and it just worked out. The timing was perfect.
Yeah.
So when he scores that first goal against LAFC and then he scores the winner a few minutes later, is that just like total vindication for you for chasing this guy for years?
Oh, your brother, if somebody had a camera on us, we were going nuts because I was selling him this game, and I was telling him this is the biggest game ever. This is going to be the biggest game in MLS. And that's what I was selling. So he's on the bench. We're getting hammered. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's going to kill me after the game. I'm like, oh my God, Jovan, what is this? What is this? Oh, I was like shitting my pants. And then eventually Benny helped us. Benny did a job. Benny did a great job, and it turned it around. And then it's like, it happened like it was a massive game, and nobody could have written the script better. No. And it was crazy. You see it was emotional for everybody, and it was great for everybody.
What was his reaction after the game? Did you actually have a conversation with him? I fucking told you, this is what it was going to be like.
I tell him all the time. To this day, I tell him.
I'm wondering, did he go out and party after the game, or was he just like, just another day in the office?
Nah, for him, it's like, I told you. This is what I do. This is normal.
I feel like because you pumped up the game so much, that's probably why he played so well. He just rises to big occasions all the time, that guy.
But the build up to the game was pretty good. Benny will tell you the build up to the game. It was good. So when he
especially for being a game that had never happened before, right? People are trying to say it's a rivalry when there had never been a game against each other before, and somehow the game played out as though it was two teams that hated each other for decades.
That's a classic game that'll go down in MLS history. We'll watch that game.
It's got to be one of the top probably five, right? MLS games in all time.
But Benny, we did play before the first one against the Chivas USA. That was similar. 3-0 we won.
Then you played Sasha. You played Sasha.
That one.
My Chivas teams were always better than the Galaxy teams Jovan was on.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing with LAFC then.
And when Chivas wasn't going to be as good, Sasha just bailed and went to Europe. And I came in to clean up the pieces.
Timing is key in life, guys.
Yeah, that's one thing that I actually had an interview today. And I was with Chris Pontius and Sebastian Lletget, and I was telling them I can guarantee that everybody that is on that side of the field on the other team, and probably most everybody in the stands would agree that LAFC was the better team than the Galaxy in that entire year, probably the last 2 years. Except the one thing that they had over us, especially because of how that first game went and Zlatan coming in and all that stuff, that mental edge over us in every single game. So we would outplay them for the majority of the games, but then in a couple of mistakes that we made, they would capitalize and we would just shrink because of the mental advantage that you guys had over us.
Yeah. I wouldn't say outplay so much all the time, by the way.
Oh, come on. The first two games.
No.
The first two games were abundantly clear.
Well, the third game was even played so strange. It was like there was just, I don't know, tons of space and just like it was the emotion took over both games. There was no tactics to it.
Except for the third game wasn't like that. It was almost like the opposite. But the third game was pretty even, I'd say. The third game was pretty, but the first two, the second, I actually, for the first time probably ever, I watched about 10, 15 minutes of the second game. We're up 2-0 already, playing at home. And we are peppering you guys. I'm not even kidding. I'm not like trying to blow this out of proportion. We should have been up probably 4 at a minimum. Really, we missed we hit the post twice. I remember. I think I can't remember which defender it was, but somebody blocked it off the line with their head when Bingham wasn't even close.
This was the first game or the second?
This is the second game at Bank of California.
Okay.
And anyways, we can't get a goal. We should have probably been up 3 or 4, and finally we make a mistake. Alessandrini scores a goal, and then it goes to crap again. And then obviously the second goal was Andre Horta tries to back pass from 70 yards away. So, but yeah, man, it was crazy. Like you guys just had that mental edge over us.
And the first game, if you remember the first game, we didn't play with a DP.
I know. That's true. That's true.
They're all injured, our guys.
Yeah, that's just how derby games go, though, don't they? Like sometimes tactics get thrown out the window and it just becomes a battle. And sometimes one team just blows out the other one, and you think, how is that possible in a derby game where both teams should be up for it, that one can just exert dominance over the other, and then the next time you play, the other team can win again.
That's exactly what happened, Sasha, with Red Bull. We beat them 7-0 NYCFC in New York City, and then we played them, I think, later that season and lost to them 2-1, right?
Yeah.
Something and like that.
Yeah, I'm sure Jovan's been a part of derby games in your career too that have been like crazy.
But most of the derby games I've been part of in Europe are very tight. You know, there's not many goals like here. Like the game are so open and
very open.
No, mostly they're tight. Everybody's defending. It's maybe you get a 1-1, a 0-0, 1-0, like nothing like here. Here it's like against LAFC, every game was so open. You know,
didn't Man United beat Man City like 8-2 a couple of years ago, or that they beat Arsenal 8-2 or something? Like, I've been a part of games in Belgium where we played like Club Brugge and we would win 6-0. And then we'd go to their place next time and we'd lose. Or we beat Standard Liège 5-0. And we lost at Standard Liège when my first year at Anderlecht, we lost 5-0. And it was like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
But you're right. Everything goes out the window. Like you said, it's a derby.
Yeah, and momentum is huge too.
Yeah. It doesn't
especially in MLS.
Yeah.
Momentum's huge. All right. Well, I have 2 more questions for you in the interview before I pass it over to Sash. Okay. And these are kind of open-ended. So I wanted to ask you first, just your best story of good old Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane.
I know he's one of your favorites. So give me some good story that's untold that you can share with us.
Okay. Well, let me think of what I can tell you. Well, first of all, as a player, he was amazing. You guys know what he's done. He's a legend here, and he's one of the best players ever to play. Robbie was off the field amazing, great guy, great character, good guy. And once in a while, we'd go to dinner. Me, him, a couple of the other guys. Once in a while, we go to dinner. We go to this steakhouse, and Robbie, one time he disappears. And this is a place, they have a piano guy playing a piano bar, and all of a sudden, we hear this voice, and I'm thinking, who is that? And I look up, it's Robbie Keane singing. And this place, they would never let anybody sing. And Robbie's singing, and he could sing, actually. We're like, what? And he was such a great, good guy, man. When you go out, great guy, great fun. But he was a singer, and he could sing. I'll give him credit. He could sing.
Voice of an angel.
And one more open-ended question for you. I know you played with our national team coach now, Greg Berhalter. Okay. And I've always heard stories that he was a tough dude to play with. And I know that there's some good stories with you there. So tell me about your one-on-one matchup when you guys played in practice.
Well, Greg and I, in the national team programs, we kind of grew up together. I mean, he was older than me, 3 years, maybe older. We first played together in the under-20s. And then it moved. We made our debut together. Bora Milutinovic gave us our debut together in Saudi Arabia. I have to tell this story too. Bora, my debut. Bora Milutinovic in Saudi Arabia. I'm a young kid. I was 18 years old. We're playing. It's 1-0. I'm on the bench. Frankie Klopas is coming off. He said, "Yo, come on, you're coming in." I was like, "Okay." And I'm 18. I'm thinking, "Oh my God, here I go." I'm waiting there, and Frank Lopez is pissed off that he's coming off. but he's coming off. And Boris says to me, he goes, "Hey, Jovan, just remember how you were playing in the streets of Macedonia." And I'm looking at him. I'm from San Diego, dude. Like, are you serious? He tried to calm me down. You know, like, I don't know if it was genius. Like, are you what? I grew up in San Diego. I was like, what is he talking about?
Just remember those old dirt roads that used to play on.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I'm from Southern California. What do you mean? Well, but okay. Anyway, Greg and I, we grew up together in the national team program. So, and in England and at Crystal Palace, we played together. He was there as well, and we used to battle. I mean, he was competitive. He was a defender. I played up front, and we used to kick each other all the time. I mean, national team, we would kick each other. We would fight. There was a time when we played cards, and we're not even playing for money. We wouldn't talk for weeks because he would think I cheated or something like that. And now we're at the Galaxy, and this happened constantly, all the time. And one day after training, it was heated. We were pissed off, and okay, let's play 1v1. He always thought he was skillful, but he's not. He's not skillful. He could pass the ball, with his left, good passer, but he wasn't skillful. And so I said, no problem. Little goals 1v1, I'll kill you. So everybody thinks we're nuts. Bruce is there looking at us like we're idiots. Like, what are you guys doing? Everybody leaves. We set up 1v1 in these little goals. He gets the ball, and he passes it to me right in front of the goal, and he sprints at me. I shield it. I put my butt in him, and he's chopping me down like a tree. He's kicking my leg like full blown. And I'm like, it was going to be a fight. And I stopped. I said, fuck that. I'm out. I just started walking. But he's competitive, man. And we enjoyed our moments, but it was interesting for sure.
Yeah, that's just funny to me because like Greg seems like such a chill dude, like a coach. He's like calm. He likes playing like the out of the back, technical style, all that kind of stuff. But as a player, he was the opposite.
We always say that about coaches. Their style's always the opposite of what they were as a player.
But he liked to play. I mean, he liked to pass the ball to the back as a player. He wanted to, but he was hard. He had to be. He wasn't the biggest guy, as a center back. He wasn't huge. He was tough though. Greg was tough.
All right. Well, you've passed the interview portion of the test now, but now here comes the worst part for you. So are you ready to get your seat fired up underneath you and join Ike's interrogation with Sasha Kleshin today?
Oh my God. Sasha knows too much, dude. This is,
I'll remind you, we're on the same team here. All right.
A few fifths here.
All right.
You know how it works. You got 5 questions. You can plead the 5th one time. If you don't plead the 5th, you can ask one question to any of us 3.
All right, let's do it.
Go ahead, Sasha.
Right. Welcome to Ike's interrogation presented by Sasha Kleshin today. Number 1, as technical director of the LA Galaxy, you are often linked to many big name players around the world in the rumor mills. But who is the big fish that got away? Who's one player that you've been close to signing or have tried to sign for the LA Galaxy, a big name that you were not able to sign?
Well, geez, this is a good question. You should have prepped me on this. I'm going to forget. I've been hitting the head so many times. I don't remember things. Jeez. Who was a guy that... Ooh. Okay, well, we tried Chicharito. I mean, we have him now, but we tried a few years back, and it was a tough one. We met with him a few times, and we just couldn't get a deal. That's a big one that I remember off the top of my head. We finally got him 3-4 years later.
Yeah, that doesn't count though, right, guys?
Nah, you guys got him.
No.
Did you guys ever try to get Ronaldinho?
This was before my time. Tim Lewicki. I was still playing. And I know the stories about him. They tried, but I was still playing at the time, so I wasn't part of that. I'm trying to think of
knowing that it took 3 years to get Zlatan. Who are you guys courting now? Is that a where are you
Cristiano
traveling to
Ronaldo
now?
And Messi?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, we're courting everybody.
We'll come back to that question because we can't give him Chicharito, right? So just you can think of some guys.
I'll think.
Then we'll come back to it.
Okay. Second question. I know that you are a big car guy, but you're also a big wine and cigar guy. So my question is a hypothetical for you. If you could have nice sports cars for the rest of your life, but you could never drink wine or have a cigar again, or You had to drive a Prius for the rest of your life, but you could have all the wine and cigars you wanted. What do you choose?
Dude, the Prius, I'd have to nut it up. Especially during this Corona time, dude, I'm having 4 cigars a day, dude.
Oh my gosh.
There's no way. The Prius, that's an easy one.
At least you can use the carpool lane.
Oh, man, exactly. No, that was a good one, but it's the cigars and wine.
All right. Number 3, as technical director of the LA Galaxy, who is your biggest regret signing?
And it's a group and a team, and everybody is
you did it. You did it. You can't assign the blame game here on this show.
Players get signed. It's a group. It's a team. That's a tough one, dude. How am I going to answer that? I can't answer that one. I can't answer that one.
Are you pleading the fifth then?
Yeah, I can't answer that. There's no. Yeah, I'm pleading the fifth.
That's such an easy answer, man.
It's not though. You can't say that. It's not like. I mean, things happen. There's environment. This like adapting a new league. Things happen.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not your fault, but there are definitely guys that have been signed who didn't work out for the Galaxy for one reason or another.
Yeah, there's a few guys that maybe didn't reach or fulfill expectations. There's a few of them, but
you're not going to answer.
No,
I could answer it for you.
I'll plead the fifth.
All right, he's pled the fifth.
I have to. I can't.
Do you want to give us an answer, Benny?
I mean, I could go through a list. I mean, Giovanni wasn't a good sign. Ciani wasn't a good sign. I don't think Ashley Cole was a good sign.
I wouldn't say
Gelvik's not a good sign for the money that he makes.
You could say Gio expectations were high. He came into the league his first year. He scored 16 goals. 12
He did all right the first year. Yeah. I mean, he was supposed to be like a Carlos Vela
for sure.
Right.
All right. Number 4.
Hey, we got to sign Sosh for a longer term here. He's gotten one plead the fifth, 1 out of 1 already. Look at this. Ike takes like 10 tries to get a plead the fifth.
That's a difficult question. Yeah, he got me there.
All right. Next question. Number 4. Rank these LA Galaxy coaches from worst to first.
Oh,
Steve Sampson.
Should have saved his plead.
Now you have to answer. Steve Sampson, Bruce Arena, Siggy Schmidt, and Guillermo Barros-Schelotto.
Oh my God, this is impossible. You can't. This is impossible. How can I answer this question? There's no way, dude. Are you serious right now? So wait.
Let me remind you that I did not come up with these questions. I am merely a messenger.
Listen, Ziggy and Bruce are legends, dude. They're legends.
Let's start with the worst then. That's an easy one for you, isn't it?
Not really.
I thought it would. I thought you were gonna.
But wait, what's the question? The worst coach?
No, rank them.
Rank them from worst to first. So you have 4 guys. Rank them 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, Bruce and Ziggy are level. They're legends. They've won everywhere they've been. Okay, I don't know how to.
So 1A and 1B.
1A and 1B.
And then. Listen, Guillermo.
That seat's getting hot.
Guillermo's fantastic. We love Guillermo. He's great. And I have to say Steve Sampson is after that. Yeah.
That's what I figured.
That's about what we thought it would be.
The story is unwritten for Guillermo yet, right?
I know. It's unwritten. But he's been at Boca. He's
of course.
He's amazing.
But as a Galaxy coach,
this is not first. Yeah, this is not the best coach. This is just a list of how many people won.
Yeah, this was meant to be more as an LA Galaxy coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or in your preference. And we figured Sampson would be last after you bailed on a World Cup qualifier. I have a good relationship
with Sampson now, though.
Not anymore. He listens to the podcast.
Those are my days back in the day when I was hot-headed.
Yeah.
All right. This is also a tough question that apparently they asked the same question to Will Ferrell recently on the podcast.
This is a good question, though. This one you have to answer.
So you guys have LA Galaxy has beaten, I should say I feel like we have beaten LAFC, not lost them in the regular season, although they were able to get our number in the playoffs last year. So which core member from LAFC would you take from their team, not Carlos Vela, got to be somebody else. And who would you send in return?
Okay, really? I can answer this question?
From last year's team.
From last year's team. So you don't have to crush anybody on this year's team. But you gotta get somebody from you can't send like your reserve goalie or anything. By the way, the guy that Will Ferrell said he wanted from you guys is Pavone.
But Will Ferrell did say he would trade the reserve goalie.
Nah, he said Harvey. He said Jordan Harvey.
At the end.
Harvey. Okay. Who would I take?
Yeah, so somebody that would fit your needs, obviously.
Who would I take?
During that time, though, right? I mean,
I don't like any.
Last year,
okay.
I don't like any of those guys.
Yeah, right.
Let's say I like the little winger.
Rossi or Latif?
Rossi. I like
Latif is still flying in space from what Zlatan did last year.
He's in the middle, though.
No. Rossi can fit in somewhere.
Rossi, but then you got to send someone back. So who you sending back?
Rossi's really good.
Yeah.
I can send.
Yeah, it can be from.
I'll send Sasha.
Sasha wasn't on the team last year.
It doesn't have to be last year. It's this.
Someone from the team last year. It's gonna be
Sasha right now. Sasha.
No, you can't. You can't send Sasha.
I knew he was going to trade me.
Hey,
I knew it too.
You can send Alessandrini. Maybe he's not there anymore. You can send anybody on the team that was there last year.
I like Alessandrini.
Yeah, I like him too. I wouldn't send him.
He's good, dude. I wouldn't send him, dude.
You can send a Polenta.
No, I'll send him Sasha. What's wrong with Sasha?
Sasha wasn't there last year.
It's not about it's about any time. It's not about last year, this year. Who cares?
Oh my God. That's like I should almost like make him plead. That was like a 5.5.
All right. I gotta say, I think you're officially off the hot seat.
No, he didn't. He's got to go back to the first question.
What was the first? Who's the big fish that got away?
The big fish. I can't. I should have prepared for this better. You should have told me about this, Sasha. You should have told me. I would have been. It's a hard one. This is a hard one. You guys are trying. It's tough. You guys. I'm surprised you guys. You know what you should ask me, and I will answer it. But you didn't. Nobody asked me who do I think the best player in the history of the league is, because that's a question that all these guys have egos. So between Robbie, David, these guys will all be.
Who's going to be your answer? Then we'll know if we want to ask it.
Here, I'll give him a good question. Then I'll give him a good question. I'm going to come up with the names real quick so I have them. So I'm going to give you 5 names. Okay. Three of them are going to make your Major League Soccer Hall of Fame.
Okay.
One of them will not make that, but will make the LA Galaxy Hall of Fame, and one has to be left out completely. I'm going to give you 5 names. So The 3 best obviously make it to the MLS Hall of Fame. The one that's the number 4 is going to make it to the Galaxy Hall of Fame, and the other one's going to be out of it completely. You ready for the names?
Go ahead.
Robbie Keane.
Okay.
David Beckham.
Okay.
Landon Donovan.
Okay.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Okay.
Kobe Jones.
Oh.
Good luck.
Okay, Kobe probably gonna listen to this, Kobe.
You can't answer the question based on who's listening.
Okay.
This is going worldwide.
Wait a second. 3 of them can make it. What kind of question is this?
3 are making it to the you're the decider of the Hall of Fame.
Hey, but there's going to be 4 in there, dude.
You can only put 3 in the Major League Soccer Hall of Fame, but one will still be able to make the Galaxy Hall of Fame, and then one's completely out.
Dude. You just want me to crush somebody. Okay, Robbie, Landon. You have to put Landon, Robbie. But the question is what? The best player in MLS?
Nah, who's going to the Hall of Fame?
They're all going to the Hall of Fame.
Nah, 3 of them only are going in the MLS Hall of Fame.
One's not making it at all.
No, dude. And then somebody's going to come out and say, oh, Jovan said Kobe should make the Hall of Fame. He's already
it's a different. I think Kobe will understand that he's going up against some stiff competition.
Listen, he's going up against stiff competition, but I can't answer this question. This is question I can't answer.
Didn't this man just say he wanted to answer like who's the best player?
No, but if you ask,
I love that he wants to answer these, and he's just so tied his hands with it.
Who the best player is in MLS? No, don't ask me that. This is putting me in trouble.
Oh my God.
Who's the best player in MLS?
Who's the best player in MLS?
Okay, the best player in MLS history. But when you say best player, what do you mean?
Well, that's what you just asked us to ask you the question.
No, ask me how would you judge that? How would you judge that?
How do you judge the best player in MLS history?
Well, let me answer. I'll answer like this. Okay? The best player in MLS, the best talent is Ibra. Ibra was the best player talent-wise to come to MLS. No question for me.
You mean like in his prime or while he was on the Galaxy?
I mean, while he was here, he still did what he did.
No,
he played against him 6'4", 6'5". I've never seen a player like this. You know, like I've been around Matthias Sammer, big players like Reuter, whatever, big players. Zidane I played against. Zidane is amazing. Zidane is Zidane, okay. But this, as a center forward, Ibra was unique. You know, he was different. He was 6'5". He can do things not many people can do. If you talk Robbie Keane and what he did here and his body of work, Robbie Keane is the best player in MLS, right? Robbie won 3 championships. He scored. He was a leader, a winner. Blandon's the best player in MLS as an American, for sure for me, right? He won. Beckham transcended the sport in a different way. So how do you, if you have to, when you ask the question, you have to say how, like what do you mean by best player? Like, is he,
you can decide that though. That's the point. It's your Hall of Fame.
Now we're going back to the Hall of Fame. So,
well, yeah.
But so leave one of those guys out.
So you got to say, Kobe was a LA Galaxy legend, but compared to those other 4 guys, it's hard to.
No, Kobe's not compared to these. You can't compare Kobe to these guys.
So Kobe in those 5, he's not making the MLS or LA Galaxy Hall of Fame.
In these 5, he's not in the mix. No,
he'll be.
And
back
then which 3 are making the MLS?
Which, I mean, they all are. This is an impossible question.
I would answer it like this if this was me. I would say only because, and literally only because he played for 2 seasons. I would say Zlatan is in the Galaxy Hall of Fame, but not the MLS.
Yeah. Zlatan can't be there because of that. Yeah.
No, dude. If it was me, I'd put Ibra not on any of.
Yes.
Kobe's got to be in the LA Galaxy Hall of Fame before Ibra.
I'm saying with those final 4, though.
It's a dumb.
But how do you leave out Ibra? Like the amount of goals and the amount of games. You know what I mean? Like,
Benny, it's a dumb question.
Nah, it's a great question, dude. Don't harass the question, man.
Listen,
Benny, who was the fan that came up with this question? Call him out right now.
It's impossible.
I've never seen someone plead the fifth so much.
it's impossible.
We've never had a person in such a position in the MLS, so I can kind of understand.
He's in a precarious spot. Yeah,
that's a tough one, dude. I can't.
We'll chop it down to like make you answer it. We'll just put different names in there.
It'll just be like Zlatan.
Yeah,
Kobe, Landon.
They all made it, dude. That's it. That's my thing. They all made it.
All right, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show, dude, telling us some of your stories. And I love it that you're the first technical director to jump into this ball of fire that is our podcast.
Great to be here. Next time, it'll be a little bit different. We'll up it next time. If I'm invited
next time, you only get 1 plead the fifth, not 6. All right.
Well, Sasha, hey, that was cheating, dude. You guys brought Sasha undercover, dude. That doesn't count. That's why.
We got PIs all over the league, man. Next time, we're gonna have harder questions for you.
All right, man. Thanks, dude. Thanks.
Right, we appreciate it, dude. Thanks a lot.
Anytime.
Thank you, Jovan. Awesome to have you on the show. We appreciate some of the answers that he gave. He didn't give us all the answers, did he, Sash?
No, that was pretty good, though. I understand why he's got to plead the fifth in his position, and that was a really fun interview for me to be a part of, too.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, some of the stories that he told from the time that he was in Europe and also early days MLS. Some stuff that we didn't get to be a part of, and a lot of good stories in those times. So we appreciate you coming on the show and telling us all about them. Again, subscribe on Apple Podcast, Yeller Stream on TuneIn, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, rate and comment on Instagram and Twitter, and email us your thoughts on BennySalThePodcast@gmail.com. I think that's all we got. Anything else, Sal?
No, that's good. Thanks, guys, for listening.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you guys next time.